Hey everyone, it's Andy here from Saving to Invest, and just going to talk a little bit today about Tax Day 2022, April 18th. That is coming soon. So, as we know, the end of this tax season, the official part of it is around the corner. So, I saw this article in the Wall Street Journal, and I thought it had some good tips, which I would focus on some of the key points here, and I'll post a link in the description below to the full article. But as you can see here, the IRS still has a lot of issues with unprocessed tax returns. So I know a lot of people, even though it's the official end of the regular tax season, there's still a lot of people still waiting for their refunds to be paid and returns to be processed. And I've covered that in several prior videos. But for a lot of people, the IRS has processed, nearly 100 million tax returns and paid about 90 million refunds out, and the average refund is much higher this year, about 3,200. But just to be clear, April 18th is the tax filing deadline. It isn't April 15th because of the Emancipation Day holiday in Washington and then the subsequent weekend. So we have a few more days as of the recording of this. And then in some places in Maine and Massachusetts, the deadline is April 19th because of a holiday there. And then there's certain groups, if you're in a FEMA emergency area, you can have some extra time to pay or file your tax return as well. So and pay any liabilities that you may have. So obviously, not everyone is able to file by April 18th for various reasons. They can actually request an extension. It's actually free to request an extension. It's pretty straightforward. Most people who submit it, and it can be done through the IRS Form 84868 or online via your tax software package, TurboTax, HR Block, Tax Act, whoever you prefer to use. You can normally pretty easily file a 6-month extension. But remember, an extension is not an extension of what you owe to the IRS, is an extension of time to file. So if you do have a potential liability, make an estimated payment so as to avoid penalties and any interest that you may do. And you can do that through the IRS website as well. It's all online, or just submit it via Form 4868 as well. Um, Again, just to clarify here, this is a topic. So what is the best way to file? I think this has been beaten to death a lot, but filing like electronically is the best way. The IRS says for most people, they get it within 21 days or if not sooner of filing. Now there has been a lot of people, due to the new tax credits, some of the complications with the advanced child tax credit payments and the stimulus checks, where it has taken longer than 21 days, and there's some people even waiting for last year's returns as well. But basically, it's a known issue. The IRS is hiring a lot more people, putting a lot more behind it to get these backlog of returns processed. And really, it's the ones that have issues or errors that require manual handling that are really taking a long time. So it's still best to file electronically. Even the extension, you should do that electronically, and eventually you will get paid what you are due. And this is a good comment that was made here. So if you have prior year tax returns, if you need to file and file electronically, you can enter 0 for the AGI to get this into the system, because this is a mandatory field. You need to provide the adjusted gross income. So the IRS is actually saying put 0 in as well for that. And despite contrary belief, and because obviously the frustration is voiced the loudest, 71% of processed returns have got a refund. So, definitely worth filing, because especially if you're, a middle to low income earner, with all the new tax credits that are available over the last year that you can now claim through your tax return, the past stimulus checks, advanced child tax credit, the expanded earned income tax credit, and the dependent care credits. Your refund can be pretty sizable this year, especially if you have kids as well, or new babies that were born. So this year, the average refund so far as of April 1st is 3,225. I think it'll finish around 3,000, but this is already up more than 300 from last year. So it definitely makes sense to file a return if you feel you will be getting a refund. And if you owe a payment, you need to make it by April 18th as well. Okay, so this is also a good point. So a lot of people, with all of the rounds of stimulus payments, people are still pending, and because it was tied to your income, people who may have not been eligible last year can be eligible this year, because it was paid in advance. So it uses your tax earnings for a given year, and if it wasn't there, it used the prior years. But if you can still qualify it if your income went down last year, again, this is claimed through what they call the recovery rebate credit. And this is all done through your tax return. Most tax software packages provide a way to do this, and you just claim it through that. And then, even if you had a baby in 2021, you can claim the dependent tax credits for them. So, like I said earlier, there's a lot of money on the table. So make sure you claim it and file it. Do with a on-time tax return, or file an extension so that you can submit the information. The one caveat I'll say is you should not go and double claim these things. So if you got paid a stimulus payment, one of the three payments, don't go and try claiming it again. That'll just cause issues. It was paid by the IRS, so they have all the records. So don't try and just put it through your return. It'll cause issues, and your preparer won't know if you've claimed it in the past. You should have got letters that what they paid you. You can go check your IRS account, but don't try and double claim it or do a duplicate claim, because that will is one of the surefire ways that your return will be flagged for additional verification, which will delay your overall refund payment as well. Um, Same thing with the child tax credit. This was also causing a lot of issues, and it's probably one of the main causes for any refunds that have been paid. So the IRS paid half of this last year, and it's going to pay the rest the next 6 months this year via your tax return. You need to reconcile what was paid last year, because for some people who were paid late or only paid partial payments, they need to then only claim the remaining amount in their tax return. So you got letters. There was issues with some of those folks that had joint returns, but check your IRS account, see what was paid last year. Then when you file this year, make sure you only put what's remaining. Don't go and double claim, because you'll run into the same issues of extra verification if your amounts don't match up with what the IRS has on their records. So you must calculate the total amount of the credit they can claim and then subtract what they received during 2021 to get what they should put here in this year's tax return. Again, I'll recommend have the documentation, use electronic filing software, because it will help you do checks, and check your IRS account as well to make sure that you put in the right amounts as well. The other one I'll touch on is a lot of people have been trying to call the IRS for issues with why the refunds are delayed, or with any questions around these credits. Like last year's, it's a huge challenge getting a live agent. Some folks are lucky they get through, some have to wait hours, and even if they get through to someone, the agent can't really help them, because they said your return is under processing by a different department. They only see what they see, but it's been a challenge. The IRS is adding more people to try and address some of these limited folks calling, but I would say look at your transcript, look at other ways of the taxpayer advocate service, and keep trying. I think now that tax season or tax is coming to a close, things should ease up a bit, because there's less people filing. But it normally requires several hours to get through to someone who can actually help you at the IRS. And I've got articles on this, and I'll put that in the description below the video as well. The good thing as well is, if your income is below 73,000, you can actually use the IRS Free File. You don't have to pay to file a tax return. You just go to the IRS website, Google Free File, and you can actually file a free return. So, you can also use some of the other tax providers like TurboTax and HR Block. They do tend to have free filing. But if you earn less than $73,000, there's a good chance your filing will be free, and you could be in line for a pretty big refund. So definitely file before April 18th, or request an extension over there. And then, as I discussed below, what if I can't pay what I owe? Well, the IRS does have a lot of payment plans in place, and you should go to the website. I'll post some articles as well below here, which you can look at for more details. But you need to make sure you pay whatever your potential liability is. If you ignore it, it'll just add up to your next year's return. You'll get a file. You'll start getting collection notices, some of which were put on hold this year. But you will still owe that money, and the penalties can add up pretty quickly. So just make sure you make a payment. Figure out some ways to get that payment done, but you don't want to try and ignore it, because ignoring it will not make it any better. It'll make the situation worse. Anyway, I hope that helped you. It's a quick recap of this. I'll post a link to the full article here, and some other helpful tips and tricks. Thank you. Bye-bye.